gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to a journey of branded communication. Branded communication. What is a brand? Brand is a standard behavior. Brand is something which creates an expectation. Brand is something which communicates not only the service that it offers, but it also communicates an image. Brand is an aspiration. So when we are trying to create a branded communication, there has to be an element of simultaneity. So many things have to prevail upon the minds of the listener. He's going to decide whether you're a brand or not. But you have to decide what brand you are. The success of your branding is in the hands of your listener, but the choice of the listeners is yours. The choice of a listener is yours, and you will have to do a deep, very methodic, very mathematical, very analytical, very precise exercise to be able to really understand what that target audience is. What that target audience is. So in a way, the standard procedures, of course, there's so many non-standard procedures also, but suppose we look at more or less the standard and the known unstandard, not substandard, not so standard procedures in branding exercises of a product, such as a cola, hair oil, or a cream, or a shoe, or a sportswear, and whatever you have. The problems of human branding through communication is going to be much, much complex. Much complex. Now I have a task at hand. We were talking about intrinsic factor and extrinsic factor in the earlier episode. Intrinsic. So intrinsic is me, anything within my control. I'm controlled, but me is also a control. I'm the controller, but me is also a controller. I'm sorry. I have to control me, but me is also the controller. Unless we come to a fortunate situation where there is no control required, the more natural you are, the more creative you look. The more standard you are, the more organized you look, more disciplined you look. But that's a step below. That's a step below. There's going to be a step, or the place where you'll have all the freedom to be yourself, to be natural yourself. Natural as in response to the nature. Nature as in response to the situation. We don't have to go and search for nature, miles into the jungles, miles into an offbeat path. No, the nature is right here. The stable chair furniture, the microphone, the sound system, your seating arrangement, it's all a part of nature. Why does dramatics get inspired by this screen and the light and the stage and the people seated there? Because it has got a standard cult. It meets majority of the situations and conditions to prevail upon the mind to deliver a dramatic performance. But drama is scripted. Most of the time, drama is going to be scripted. There's no one-man show allowance in drama, most of the cases. But here, I want to freeze for you some time. I want to freeze for you a little time, a little space in the time. a little space in the time where you can be on your own, unscripted, but beautiful. No light, but glamour to the hilt. No budget, but economics rediscovered. That's when you get into the top class position in branding. Right now, we are beginning on the exercise, so please be patient. The intrinsic element, you, so you will have to decide what you want to be at any given space and time. And you want to decide how you wish to be in that given space. And then ideas will come to you. Then ideas will come to you. Okay? There could be a provision, there is a provision rather, in language and in human communication that you say, I'm this, I'm that, I've done this, I've done that, and I wish to be, and in the year so and so, etc., etc. Or you can say, it's always been like, in the humble childhood that I lived, dot, dot, dot. I always loved people. And that brought me always, dot, dot, dot. When I had a fanatic craving for poetry. And good that I'm not a good poet. And no, I could never write a good poetry. But that created an innate desire and respect for poetry. There was a time when I couldn't read the poetry, so I kept on looking at poetry in people, how they walk, how they talk, how they move. I wanted to look at that poetry. So I had that created a widespread bandwidth for me in understanding poetry. But I love this game. Dot, dot, dot. There can be a poser like that also. I never did well in mathematics. I thought I was a poor chap when it comes to mathematics. And therefore I indulge in math quite a lot. And it surprised me quite a lot when somebody brought me news that I'm in 99.9 percentile in the Maths Olympiad. Probably that changed me a bit. I was more performing in math after that, less indulgent. I miss that piece. I still want to be indulgent. Dot, dot, dot. All the later dialogues that I made with you are the examples of humility, examples of simplicity. You're saying the same thing. You're saying the same thing. Why not? People will understand where you're coming from. They will know where you're coming from. But then you're telling a story and the moral comes at the end. You're telling a story and the tailpiece comes at the end. You're creating a plot. Climax comes much later. Why not? Do you have patience to do that? Do you have the persuasion to do that? Do you believe in yourself and therefore believe in the intellect of the people? You've never seen intellect in yourself, so you expect others not to have that intellect. Hi, hello, you getting me? You never saw the depth in you, so you don't expect people to have a depth. The saints say, our image of the world is an image of about ourselves. But that doesn't stop a teacher. If you're a teacher, you better not believe that the world is well taught. You believe the world needs a good tutoring. Exceptions are always there. They create beautiful stretch for our intellect. The mother says this road goes to your destination, but you keep traveling the road, traveling. You come back to the same place. You come back to the same place because the earth is round. So some pieces of logic cannot be extended beyond a certain time. There is a time perspective, space perspective, distance perspective, land perspective, country perspective. So this direction is your destination, has a conditionality. That conditionality is a limitation of our thinking and the limitation of the space that you are operating in. To a cricketing mind, if the whole earth had been flat, people would be only playing cricket. Who will watch you? Who will have the time to count the number of runs you scored, number of wickets you got? That's a part of the scene. Coming back to the intrinsic character, you are the beginning, and you will have to define clear cut yourself. It's only by cutting yourself into a certain shape, in a certain form, that you'll get identified. There are people who believe that they have to use a certain expression. For example, at the outset, somebody might say, at the outset, or somebody say, wherever you are, ladies and gentlemen. But that will become a cliche in a while. That will become a cliche in a while. That's not what good personal branding of your communication is about. To get identified by some words and some expressions. No. I don't know whether it is too early for me to say and trouble all the audience, who's expecting simple solutions to their simple problems. Okay, simple solutions to the simple. We don't want a doctor to talk about philosophy, isn't it? You want a doctor to just take care of the blister that you're carrying on your palm. But here, our innate desire to exhibit the entire process through which even that I is made. So I is a process. I is a process. I is also a product of this process that you have been following. I is also a process. So, let me sign off for this episode. Come back to you by unleashing greater truths about I, being an I.